So next we'll be discussing the 51 billion rand paid out by the Unemployment Insurance Fund for beneficiaries of the COVID-19 Temporary Employer Relief Scheme, or TERS, with the UIF's Acting Commissioner Marsha Bronkhorst, who is with us now. First, however, let's just follow up on that interview we had with the SCOPA Chairperson, Mkhuleko Hlengwa, about what is actually happening. But welcome and thanks for speaking to us this morning, Ms. Bronkhorst.
Thank you.
So we just spoke to the SCOPA chairperson about their oversight visit, and as I said to him, it makes for very grim reading in terms of what is actually happening at the UIF, and of course the lack of capacity, the lack of human resources at the UIF. Please talk to us about that, because it must be very disheartening for people watching this right now, learning of all of this from that oversight visit when they are expecting to be assisted by the UIF.
Yeah, I think you're correct in saying that it's disheartening. It's just equally disheartening for me to be able to sit here and I have to face the clients of the UIF. Our call center is overburdened. It's a reality, especially with the COVID TERS payments and all the inquiries we have around that. Under normal circumstances, the call center would not have been challenged. But given the huge amount of inquiries we have around COVID TERS payments, inquiries about why the bank account details do not go through, etc., it is overburdened. So we have entered into a short contract to get our call center agents up to 300. In addition to that, we have made 825 people across the country. We've enabled them to be able to answer all the inquiries that might come to them, to be able to help with password changes, the basic things that we find are challenges in terms of finalizing COVID TERS benefits. So across the country, in labour centres, in provincial offices, we have this huge number of people sitting ready also to assist, because we realise the call centre can't deal with a massive influx of inquiries that they have every day.
Why is this only happening now, Ms. Bronkhorst? Because it should have happened a long time ago. Surely you didn't just pick up on this right now. SCOPA saying that they actually found it disturbing that the consulting company that has been contracted and is responsible for the development of information and communication technology systems couldn't even respond to their questions. So why haven't you dealt with this more decisively earlier?
Yeah, I think I was not part of the walkthrough of the members of SCOPA, so it's difficult for me to talk in terms of what happened at that moment. There is a difference between operations and system development. And it's often that the needs of the UIF is developed by the operations people, identified, and then given to the system developers. So when it comes down to a detailed discussion around operational needs, they might have a challenge in answering, because they develop according to what we identify as needs. We're dealing with all this because I want to get the systems updated and upgraded so that it makes it much easier for employers, for example, to declare their workers. We've developed, and we're rolling it out, a live capturing system for the famous UI-19 form that we get from employers, also to prevent all these masses of documents coming into the fund, causing delays in capturing employee details, so that we can fast-track the payment of people.
Ms. Bronkhorst, is this the same company that is responsible for some of those fraudulent payments that have been made by the UIF?
No, the payments, the fraudulent payments, I don't know if you're referring to the payments which were linked to identity numbers. These payments were made because the database of the UIF was not updated. And we received an ID number, it looked like it was a legitimate ID number, and payments were made. So after we corrected that, we have not seen any wrong payments made. Our internal audit checked whether our controls were adequate, and they found them to be adequate after we've had this challenge around the identity documents.
So you've described this payout of 51 billion rand as magical, but then according to reports, the TERS system will not be extended. Please talk to us about that, because many people are very concerned about it.
Yeah. Let me first say that all claims that we have had in our system up to the 30th of October will be paid. So it's not as if because we might decide we're not going to extend that any claims from now going forward will not be paid. Each and every claim will be paid up to the 30th of October. We will, even those claims where we have challenges, engage employers. We send them messages to make sure that we get the correct information so that we can pay the claimants. But bear in mind that the TERS benefit, was meant to be there for 3 months only. And it's always been subject to the availability of funding so that we can make sure that the UIF can be sustainable. So we have now paid for 7 months up to the amount of 51 billion the day before yesterday. And our projections are that by the time we've honoured all the claims that we have in our system up to the 30th of October, we would have paid 61 billion. Our original commitment was 40 billion. So you can see that we've already exceeded the original commitment with nearly 21 billion by the end of this.
So what are the timeframes for sorting out these backlogs, Ms. Bronkhorst? Because, as I said to Mr. Hlengwa, people desperately need these funds. So what sort of timeframes have you put in place for yourself?
Look, I want to pay people as soon as I humanly can, but we're dependent sometimes on third parties. We're dependent on, if information is not available, us getting the information back so that we can make sure that we pay the correct people. I do not want to sit here and tell you that, again, we've managed to pay people who are deceased or people who are in prison. So we are working as fast as we can. We do 3 payment runs a day, which is the most that we can do. So we're really trying to push through. And as and how we find these inquiries, when an employer, for example, submits additional information, we do a payment run as soon as we can.
Well, we have to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you so much to Marsha Bronkhorst, who is the acting UIF commissioner, talking to us there about the 51 billion rand that has been paid out and other matters related to the unemployment insurance fund.